So the other thing is,
Go ahead.
they, this, well, it doesn't affect us, but they get these a minute shutdown for you can't have social gatherings with more than 10 at home now. Yeah, and then they don't want you to uh, be out after 10 o'clock at night. Well, can't open for business. If I end class at 9:30, which I usually do, I guess that would be okay. I'm usually
I
hit.
think restaurants have to close at 9:30, but yeah, 'cause they want you inside from 10 to 5 in the morning.
Yeah, they want you inside, but I think you can go home. And if you're essential, most of us are non-essential. So they have gyms and among other things, but nobody opens unless there's a 24-hour gym.
Hopefully after today, I won't take.
Okay. So we get started. Maria. There's Maria. Okay. I'll give her. What's that? Did you make it?
I just wanted to stay in bed this morning, but no. I said no.
Oh, it wasn't snowing.
Believe that snow, that was crazy.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Jaguar was a British car, right? It was British. Now it's owned by. Now it's owned by India. India owns them because they're made by. Because they're made by Land Rover now too. But yeah, it's got the same leopard on there though. Panther. It's a panther, right? Okay, ready? Bow. Oh no, it's a jaguar. It's not a panther. Okay, ready? First exercise. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. To the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay. Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Hands up.
Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands to your waist. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 and reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Cross. Knees. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Hands on your waist. Neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Tilt to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Rotating. 1, 2, 3. Reverse. 1, 2, 3. Center. Hands up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, spread your feet. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, stretch it out. Switch. 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 Switch, straighten the front knee. Switch. 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 Okay, center. Okay, shake it out. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands in your waist. Shoulder roll. And reverse. And center. Okay. Hands here, swing. Exhale, inhale. And stop. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, wrists. So actually this circle is more than just this. It's actually using your forearms like this. So it's the same, essentially the same circle as cloud hands. Right? It's the same circle, except for you're doing it one at a time. But essentially it's the same pattern. So you have to move the elbows. If you don't move the elbows, the size of the circle stays pretty small, relatively small. Reverse. See, one of the things about movement, and this is what is usually the biggest challenge, is that, you know, even though I talk about relative position and patterns and space, it's not 100% tangible. In fact, with some people that have spatial, awareness issues, or even spatial connection, they're challenged in a way that you have to virtually feel the movement, or at least think that it's associated with some type of functionality. Now, when we do this, just imagine this, right? You're standing, say, in a pool. It could be the beach, and water's about this high, and you're going like this with the water, and you're pushing it aside like that. Now that's tangible. You would probably do that consistently, because you would have a certain amount that the arm would go into the water and it would flush. Or if you were pushing the water like this, or moving it like this, the movements would be more tangible because you're doing that. But when we're doing it in space, there isn't a consistency because you really can't touch anything. So that's that's part of experience of feeling, and also knowing that you're doing something, and it feels a certain way. But when we're doing this, unless you really zone into what it feels like, you really can't connect with it. So it's all over the place. So the practice that you're doing is partially emotion, we're just moving, but the other thing is, how do you get accuracy of movement? You have to associate it with something that's tangible. Now, because we're not using it as a martial arts in this instance, or even experiencing that, you don't know that the hand is doing this, and that the hand is intercepting something, not here, but here or here. So if you're doing this, you're not going to get this. You see what I mean? So that's part of understanding what a motion is. So the only thing I can use as a reference or express to you as a reference is shoulder level, waist level. And if it goes from here to here, and then the lowest point it could be is to the hip. Then it goes, so a big circle would be this. A wide circle would be here, because you don't want your elbows to go out there. So that's what your body has to recognize. So through your proprioception, through your experience and your visual, connection, you begin to sort of control that movement and limit its range. That's what relative movement is. Relative movement is dealing with you, your space, and referencing your body. When we do this, it's just free fall, swinging in a vertical pattern, right? So we're not doing this, right? We're just letting it go. Right? This becomes, actually it doesn't feel right if you do it like this, because your arms are tense up in here, right? Now, if we make a big circle, we look for the ear, right? We're looking for the ear. At least, generally, the ear is on the side of your head. Unless you're a cat and they're on the top of your head. Okay. And now if you look at this movement from a side view, and this is where your arm goes, which is pretty in line with the ear, right? But you can't actually go from this side to this side. Why can't we do that? Because we can't go through our body, right? So how do you compensate for that? When we do this here, we create it as close to the line as possible, but then you have to kind of turn. You have to kind of turn to keep this line. So your body, torso does turn a little bit, just enough to clear your body and get up to that point. And the same happens with your leg swing. Okay? So when we do this, we have this, right? When we do this, we actually have to turn the hip a little bit. This hip actually comes this way a little bit for you to go directly to the side. So your body has to pick up on that motion to realize side to side is like this, not over there. That's not side to side, that's going on the oblique. Now if I go on this side, it's the same. So what you're doing is setting up your body to create these motions. So the thing is, you have to be able to realize how to create that movement by doing it. Okay, so that's something that is picked up as an action. So Peter, you what when you do this, you're like this, right? Why is it like that? Because your center of gravity is not over that foot. And what doesn't allow you to go over that foot is the hip not swaying over enough to keep your spine over your foot. Now if your spine is over your foot and this becomes the attachment to ground, then you will have a center point. At this point you don't have a center point because the foot only goes so far. So that's what you have to work toward, is getting enough body weight here so your hip protrudes a little bit, and then it allows you to swing. So that's really maybe the hip is too tight in here, and it doesn't allow your body to sway. Now, in the vertical position, this is a little bit easier because when you're in this position, your foot will want to move in that direction, but it's easy to find that center. Because typically, when we walk, we would actually walk toward that center. So we did a few swings and then took a step. You would be able to check your weight. So that's why when we move the hands and legs, this is like walking. I always reference this idea of walking. So when you go like this, you're actually walking. So just think of kicking someone in the shins. Yeah.
My left side is getting worse. So I don't know if it's because I'm not centered properly, or because I have a situation going on in my hips.
So let's see so let's see the right side. Let's see the right side.
I can do this.
Okay, so right now, right, your upper body's kind of stiff.
It's kind of
It's kind of stiff, yeah.
Because I'm anticipating.
Because this is what you're doing, right? You're going like this. Okay, I'll do it in the mirror. This is Maria, right? She's got the leg going, but then she's trying to move her arms and move her. So you have to let your upper body go so that it can sink. Yeah, but relax your back. You're holding your back a little bit tight, and your shoulders actually. So you're not doing this. No, because if you don't let your shoulder blades move and your shoulders, then you really can't swing freely. What you're doing is upper body's a little bit like this, and then the bottoms. So, yeah, but if you're talking about balance, you have to compensate. You have to counterbalance the movement. So if you're not counterbalancing your movement, you're going to have a discrepancy. So on this side,
This is the rhythm.
yeah, okay. Okay, so, yeah. Yeah. So relax the foot. Okay, hook the foot this way. Hook it like that. Yeah, hook it like that. So don't do this. If you're going straight, it's going straight. Don't do this. Don't do this. It's actually this. Yeah, you're twisting this. See, yeah. So your body is twisting. If it doesn't twist, then you have to twist. You know, Chuck B. Checker said, "Twist and shout." Okay, so it's just it's. Just try to relax and let your upper body loosen up. Now the upper body's better. Uncomfortable or comfortable? Yeah. So. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Turn a little. Turn the top. Open and close the top. Yeah. 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 Here's the problem, right? We twist one side more than the other. Right? So because a lot of movements like this, we're turning like this. We're not turning like this as much. So the side that you turn more on is going to be better. The side that doesn't turn as much, you're not going to be as familiar. So the side that doesn't turn as much, you have to turn it more to balance the side that's not turning. So it's always the balance issue. Balance doesn't just mean this. Balance means that the body's moving on both sides consistently. Then your body will start to recognize it. Now we're doing a lot of this. It's easy to do because everything is in pairs. But when you start to go into directions outside of the normal frontal view, you start to lose some, perspective. Uh-huh.
So I'm wondering if that's impacting it too.
Yeah. Actually, you're not bad. Actually, people, yeah, well, how's your doctor look? Yeah, yeah, when you hurt your back, that was,
I walked in and I said, I'm just told that I have some scoliosis. Well, you don't have to tell me, I can tell, because your hips going like this.
yeah.
I hope this was
So,
something
so,
somebody else.
so the fact that you can move it like that
Yeah.
means that you're not really, you're not stuck in that position, but yet just that you have an imbalance in your musculature. I mean, some of it's skeletal, but some of it is because you're not moving evenly. And the side that you injured, you kind of atrophied already from not using it. Then when you fixed it, you're probably still a little concerned with that. And then your body has sensors, and if it doesn't like a position because it's going to hurt, it sets you in another direction. And the other thing is, it won't let you. It won't let you move that area. It restricts your movement because of your sensory system kind of doesn't allow that to happen.
Since I learned how to walk, I always sit with this leg as if like I'm on the floor. No
Uh,
matter how high the stool, how small it is, I can't ever seem to like sit like other people do.
you have to have your legs crossed.
Yeah, I cross my legs.
Yeah.
Not both.
Yeah.
Just this side.
Yeah.
In order to sit down.
No, she sits on her leg.
And I can sit down for a few minutes or 5, 10 minutes, but if I need to like write emails and stuff, I immediately go into that position. But I remember my brother hitting me over the head over that when we were little. It's this way. Like we would do that, but that's what I felt was comfortable.
Yeah.
It comes in handy.
Actually, it's okay to sit like that, but you could once in a while sit the other way. But the thing is, it's the hit on the head that caused it all. No, some people sit cross-legged a lot. They sit on the floor and they cross-legged. I don't sit like that. I don't like that position. Yeah. Yeah, and I know Peter doesn't sit like that. Peter never sits like that. Peter, right?
I had a disc in my 20s, so I've lived with it all my life.
Oh,
Your body protects itself.
yeah, yeah,
There's certain things I just can't do no matter how
yeah,
strong I get.
yeah, and yeah. But the thing is, strength is not always, the best thing. Overly strong in one place is not good. You have to actually, and then movement is actually, I think, is better than just strengthening. You have to move and you strengthen the movement. Then the overall amount of strength that you need is going to be not as extreme. But it depends, what you're doing. I mean, if you're pushing jaguars around when you're 40 years old, it's not a good idea to be not strong enough to do that, right? So, but then, all right. But I think a lot of your back is maybe from even your work, right? Because, yeah,
Doctors are amazed that I can practice.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're leaning over like that, looking at people's, yeah,
The classic is start down a set of stairs and then stop. And then see which foot you step off on for the next step. And it almost always will be the same foot. For me, is the right because my right is stronger than my left. And it's just the thing I can do about it.
yeah. But even though you take your right step, it's your left leg that's supporting the weight. So it's just right. It's right initiation because you would reach with your right, but it doesn't mean that your left leg is the one that takes the brunt of the weight on the first step.
Well, I fall down the stairs trying to think of that nice black gentleman used to say.
You mean Otis?
Yeah, he said most people fall down the stairs.
Yeah,
And he did not.
yeah.
And that's really hard to do, think about it.
Actually, when you go down the stairs, actually it's the ankles. When you go down the stairs, you shouldn't be reaching for the stairs. you should be sinking in the knees.
That's right.
When you go down the stairs, if you relax your ankle, your weight is behind you. If you go forward down the stairs and you drop your weight into it, you're going to be top heavy and you're falling. Yeah, because when you walk down the stairs, you're actually you're sinking, and this has to bend. So it's the ankles that most people have trouble with. Huh? So if you're carrying a load of laundry, or something, and you go down the stairs, you're already front heavy. So if you're going to go like this and you trip, you're going to go down, right?
Carrying stuff.
Yeah. So when you go up most people don't fall up the stairs. Because unless you cut your foot, you don't fall up the stairs. You fall down the stairs. Why do you fall down the stairs? Because your center of gravity is forward, and you can't control yourself. Now the other way people fall down is they slip, and they go, right? Huh? Yeah. Yeah, the cat one. Yeah. He doesn't know about that, right? Yeah. I was chasing my cat because he was doing his duty on my carpet at night. I caught him at 4 o'clock. Or her. Was it her? Yeah. So I got the spritzer, and I was chasing him. I have a set of stairs like that and like that, but there's no rails on it. And so I ran down the stairs, and I slipped because I was trying to. So I scratched my ankle on the edge of the board. So then I tried to make it around the corner. So I made it around the corner. I got around. I was still about this high off the ground because the stairs, and then it goes. So he died that way, and I tried to reach, and I fell off the wall. Well, the stairs. I fell like about 4 feet. I went straight down on my shoulder. So I landed like this, completely like this, and I said, "Whoa!" Almost knocked me out because the impact. I hit a cement floor. This was probably, she remembers, maybe about 8 years ago.
Most of us fall, and I get to the floor, I have no idea how it happened. He has like a diagram, there was a 45 angle here, and then I was at a 190, then I...
So after I landed, I said, "Oh, okay, that wasn't good. I'm not chasing the cat now." So I wasn't sure if I broke anything because my clavicle, So then I went back to bed. I woke up at the next day. I had to teach Tai Chi class. I came and told everybody that I fell down, and I think I was bruised here, right? I was bruised over here. I was bruised, and then my ankle had this gash over here that I put a little Band-Aid on. But I taught class, but nothing was broken. No, I think because my clavicles areas, because I do this. When I went down, I didn't tense. I just kind of just went with everything. So everything just kind of went with it. Actually, my elbow got a kind of bruised. That's where the bruise was. But I didn't impact. So it wasn't serious. I didn't break anything. I didn't even strain anything. So that was the last time I chased the cat. The cat won, yeah. So, but the cat is gone now because she got sick and whatever. But I'm still here. Yeah.
Seeker, I don't know you know the answer, but where does the myth of these, I want to call them ninja, these warriors who fly,
Yeah.
what does that come from?
It came from these, the myths of stories of people being superhuman. They actually didn't fly. They used to jump off of tall buildings, though. Well, maybe 8 or 10 feet. They could jump down, and jumping up wasn't really so much jumping up. They could run up walls. But you know, they do that today with some of the kids that do that amazing stunt stuff. If you get a running start, they can run up a wall and land on the top. So some of that's an illusion. But when they were making movies back in the day, in the 40s and 50s, they were doing stuff like reverse the cameras to make people look like they could jump up the walls. So that's how that came. And then, you know, it's just like Superman. You know, it goes into stories, and you know, people. You know, you heard about the big fish that was really this big. It's things that are exaggerated over time. People. So. And it was, well, you get someone that was there that says, well, it wasn't that big. Yeah. Everybody, you know. But anyways, that they're myths. It's just like people can, they're invincible. And people actually, some people get a little bit extreme. I know a kung fu person that claims that he could take, you know, all kinds of blows by punches, which is a little different than letting a car drive over you or getting hit by a. You know, he let a Cadillac drive into him going at a pretty slow speed, but he ended up with a hernia and everything else, and you know, so there's only certain things that you can defy the laws of gravity and invincibility. You know, I mean, if you're dealing with a human, maybe you know, you can take some impact. But if you're getting hit by, you know, an obstacle, the obstacle doesn't care how it hurts you. So there was a guy in Chicago that thought he was invincible. He said, anybody wants to come up and punch me. And actually my teacher used to do that. This guy let someone punch him, and the guy hit him so hard he ended up in the hospital right after that, because he ended up, you know. You know, in here, yeah, they take punches in this area, you know. So, anyways.
Because you're in really terrific shape, so.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I didn't let go of the bottle. I was still holding the bottle.
Still have a cat.
Yeah, the spritzer.
You were determined to get the cat.
Yeah.
Why?
So the cat ran and went up the other side, and
The cat was laughing at you.
yeah.
Cats want to move fast, they just boom.
You heard curiosity killed the cat, right? And they have 9 lives. Anyways, so we didn't get too far on the exercises. Okay, let's preparation. Okay, lower hoop. Shoulder height. Elbows down. Or palms down. And extend. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, so let's go to, instead of diagonal flying, we'll do silk reeling because we missed that. So diagonal flying is really part of silk reeling or part the horse's mane. So it's a pass through. You know, any of these continuous movements or say holding postures, it's just positions that your body starts to recognize and then you pass through them as a course of some of your movements. Now if you don't have a certain amount of muscle memory built in your system, then you'll miss, you know, those points. So here's your diagonal flying. This is, you know, a lot of the motions that you have in setting up your part the horse's mane, your separation, your turning, you know, it's all built inside this motion. Switch. And Sana. Okay, next, cloud hands. Okay, carry tiger to the mountain. Okay, infinity sign. Okay, form the fists. And center. Okay, now palms together. Strum the lute. Okay, thumbs up. Alternate shoulders. And switch. And center. Turn, draw the bow. Try to align the fingertip with the rear elbow, so we're like this. Yeah. Okay, fan to the back. Okay, raise the hand. Okay, palms down, deep breathing, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, we'll go to short form. Ready? Feet parallel. Preparation. So after you do that, we'll strum the lute. And step up and close the door. So strum the lute is this. 1, 2, 3. Lean forward, step up, form the fist. Oh, okay. Short form, sorry. Reverse stance. So when we do the reverse stance, we turn to the right and straighten the back foot. Sit into that leg, pass through center. So this is where we practice sitting into that back leg. So we're talking about going downstairs. That's the position your leg's in on the way down. Then we'll go to neutral position. Diagonal flying, hold the ball, step up, turn the foot slightly in front, sit back, pull this foot next to the other one, lift up, insert the needle, step forward, fan to the back. Turn, stroke down, hammer fist, parry and punch, step forward, form the fist, and punch. Divert, block, and punch. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Okay, hands down. Carry tiger to the mountain. Cross hands, raise the left hand. Bend from the waist. Stork flaps wings. Turn. Left side grasp the sparrow's tail. Left side single whip. Hold the ball. Reverse the ball. Diagonal flying. sit back, pot the horse's mane, step up, stroke down, pot the horse's mane, cross corner, Jade Lady work shuttle. Cross corner, Jade Lady work shuttle. Hook your wrist, turn to the front. Okay, cloud hands. Hook your wrists, single whip, hold and reverse the ball. Close the form. Okay, deep breathing, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, so the repulsor monkey movement, actually when we go forward and we turn, actually if the body turns and your weight goes forward, your rear foot should be able to spin. Okay, so because it's unweighted in the back, it spins. And then when you sit into it, pass through center, and then toe down, and then sit back. We go forward again, turn, the rear foot straightens, and then when you go back, retreat. Okay, so, you know, the lower extremities are really hard to control in a soft way because typically we just use them to support weight. So if your legs are always just supporting weight, they're pretty, they can get pretty strong. If you're carrying a lot of weight, a big load, then your legs will get strong. But that's all they know what to do. That's all they can do. If you try to build agility footwork, it has to do a shifting of weight, has to be controlling your ankle, your knee, and your hip. So sinking is not something that most people like to do because they don't know how to let go. They don't know how to release. So the stance work is pretty difficult. Now when we're here and we form the 45-degree corner movements and we go like this, 1, 2, that's actually shifting and pivoting, shifting and pivoting, shifting and pivoting, shifting and pivoting. When we shift like this and we turn on the toe and we go like this, we have a position. So there's where the hip kind of has this protruded position here and here. So the hip does shift in the joint like this, just like it shifts like this. But even that gentle movement isn't obvious to the hip. You know, what does the hip know? It doesn't know nothing but what it tells you to do. So that's why every movement, every motion that we create is really driven by information. So that information is part of the program that you build into your body mechanics. So when I shift like this and I shift like this, then this foot is free to turn. And it can turn back, and it can turn this way, and turn this way. So this becomes something I create or make happen. This actually will happen as a function of the fact that you just made that turn. So that's the same thing that happens when you go like this. Okay. Now if I'm here, stalk, flap, swings, and I want to turn in that direction, when I teach it, I go, okay, kick your heel out and turn, and then we're over this position. But if we connect this rotation to the rear leg and I shift my weight, that's going to pivot by itself too. So a lot of actions happen as a function of something else. I would call that more of a passive action. Now, if we do this, okay, and we turn like this and go like this, so the heel going down becomes a function of my knee pressing forward. But if my knee presses forward and I push forward like this, I develop this relationship between the straightening and the bending, right? So you see that action, how that feels? That's the step back. When you retreat and you turn your body and you sit into the stance, there's that position before you move to this position, right? So if you're going to step backwards and you're in control, then you would be doing this. But if you're not in control or you're not concerned with that, then you would do this. So where's the placement? It's kind of random. Hopefully you land in the right place. So there's where you end up doing this kind of stuff. If you don't turn, or you do turn, then you might end up looking there and then end up going over here. So that's where your misalignment of the body is, right? So if you're turning, say I use the mirror as a front view, if I turn like this, my line is here. If I sit back, then if I track my line based on where the body is, you're going to find that your movements are much more accurate. It's sort of like, when you back up your car, you have to imagine what's straight behind you. But if you don't imagine what's straight behind you, then you have to reference something. The curb, the building, are you going parallel to that? So those are reference points, using it as a guideline. If you don't turn and just use your mirrors, you still have to have a perspective. So when you can't have the perspective of what's behind you because you didn't look, then you have to use the perspective of what's in front of you, right? Because if I'm driving backwards, I'm looking front, I must be going straight. If everything in front of me starts to turn, that means the car must be turning. So it's a reference point, right? So if I'm going backwards and I turn my head this way, then when I sit back, my foot might go there. But if I'm looking forward and focus on my direction, then my direction is going to be here. Now in Repulsor Monkey, when we go back, we're like this, right? Or we go back and then we're like this. So we teach it as if it was the brush knee, but in combination of the movement you can actually go like this. But even if you do it that way, like in the short form or that's actually the Wu Style Repulsor Monkey. But the thing is, if you go like this, you have the same movement, but you step first and then do this. If you step in combination of this, you still have to have this leg as the rooted leg. That's because really the technique is this, right? It's really like this. It's a sweep and a push. So the sweep and push and the hand movements, whether you're doing it at the same time or the direction of the movement has to be in the same line, equal and opposite. So that's yeah, okay, basically you're doing this. Neutral, forward, turn. Sit, center, reverse, shift, and push. That's like a brush knee going backwards. But the leg work has to be a function of, so when we first learn it's like this, then you turn the foot, then you move, then you sit back and turn. But you should turn and then the leg will spin. And then you shift. Past center. Find a place to put your toe down and then the heel, and then you go forward. So this is something I talk about once in a while, but it's the toe-heel relationship. You have a toe and you have a heel. You have a toe and you have a heel. If I go forward and I'm on my toe here, then I'm on my heel here. When I sit back and I'm here, it's between the toe and the heel because I'm on one foot. When I go forward, I'm on my toe and then the heel here and toe here. Then once I push this knee forward, the pressure goes to the toe and the rear foot goes to the heel. Okay, so that relationship is what keeps you in balance. So if you're having trouble, let's because we talk about two concepts, 50-50. That's when your weight distribution is even, 50-50, and you bend your knees. In a 50-50 position, you're actually pretty stable, but you can't move. You can't move either foot. The only way you can move a foot is to shift your weight. So that's called unweighting, and you always move the unweighted leg. Now if you're in a position like this and 50-50 is a fault, how do you stay balanced? How do you stay balanced from forward to back? You stay balanced from forward to back, how? So if you're in a parallel stance position and you're 50-50, so you're stable from side to side, right? Because we can shift and we can compensate. But when you're sitting here, what keeps us balanced from forward and back? How do you control your forward and back position? By you bend your knees, right? You bend your knees, drop. That lowers your center of gravity and you feel a little stable because your base is more rooted or more weighted. But here's the thing, right? Okay, so here's the thing, right? This is something that it's kind of it's not a trick, but it's actually a principle or a concept that allows you to remain stable. So let's go to both toes. All right, let's bring the weight to both toes. How do you feel? You feel like you're falling forward? Well, okay. Let's go to both heels. Bring your weight to the whole heels. You feel like, okay. So here's the thing, right? Put the ball of one foot and the heel of the other foot as you're waiting, right? So just get a feeling of the toe and the heel, and the toe of the and then you switch. And then you switch. Okay, when you're doing that, can you fall forward or backwards? You stay still, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's what happens in your footwork. That's what happens when you're standing in single whip position. You say, well, that's double weighted. Why is it double weighted? Because if you shift, and it could be an intrinsic shift or a mind intent feeling that it's the toe and the heel. And a toe and a heel. But what happens when you go from toe to heel? Now you cannot fall forward or back. But you use that toe-heel relation as a transition, because when I go like this and I go like this, it becomes a toe-heel relationship. That toe-heel relationship is what controls your lower stability. That's called preventing the double weighted. But actually, in a sense, if the teachers didn't talk about it, that would be a secret. But there are really no secrets. It's really understanding. So when we move in an empty or sitting stance, the heel is down in the front. But if you bring your knee forward, and I talk about the ankles being flexible enough, when you push the shin forward, you feel your ankle pressing down and on the supporting foot. Like if you push this knee forward, you feel it? So where does the pressure go? It goes to the ball of your foot. Sit back and now feel your knee coming forward. It puts pressure on. And you should be on a toe on the back.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
Huh?
That's very actually hard to do.
So actually you're more stable.
Yes.
Okay.
You have to like really think about it.
Well, that's called consciousness of your position. So while you think about it, that's learning. So when you go through your next phase of doing the form and you're conscious of that, or you're standing in a position like this, then that's how it should feel. Now, if you feel that, then eventually your body will learn that. And when your body learns that, then you're going to have a rooting and a stability. So that's the, sort of the body mechanics inside your movements. But does that happen as a course of just doing it? No, because your body doesn't understand. It doesn't have the correct information, so you kind of fumble through it. So it's trial and error and guessing. So if you're guessing all the time, you're not sure if it's going to be correct until you have a concept or a principle that tells you that this is the way you should do it, and then you start to strive for making that happen. And then eventually what happens is your body starts to pick that up, and it learns it. So here's the difficult one. When you go to the forward position and you shift your knee forward, it's keeping that heel down. Now your calf muscle has to be somewhat loose and limber to allow for that accommodation, right? So while we're thinking of the leg work, we're going to forget the hand work, because what's going to happen is you're going to forget about your arms, and the arms are going to fall apart. Not literally fall apart, but it's going to fall apart in structure. So when you're learning, you have to go through all of these things. So when does your body start to build skill and perfection? It starts to build skill and perfection when everything that I'm talking about enters the subconscious. When it enters subconscious, that means you don't have to think about it. Thinking has to do with your learning. Because when you learn something, you have to understand it. But you can't understand it until your body starts to recognize it. Your body won't recognize it until it starts to understand it. So you really don't truly understand it till your body understands it. And then your idea has been, cultivated to a level of that. And when that happens, your body actually knows it, and it's enters subconscious, and it moves. So then when you move, it's always going to be there, because you can tell how it feels. It doesn't happen simply because of doing it over and over again. It happens as a course of taking the principles and concepts that we're talking about and inserting it into here. So now you can start to cultivate the concept through the mindfulness of movement and the experience of that movement and the trial and error of that feels like. Then your system, your sensory system, your proprioception, everything we talk about on that side of it, your anatomy, the physiology of the movement and all that stuff that ties into what the sciences tell you, will say that this is what's happening. But those principles are actually in the Tai Chi principles in a sense, but they're kind of abstract, really don't know what they really mean. What does vertical spine mean? I mean, it means it's straight. But what does that feel like? And what does that look like? And what does, all of this stuff comes from that kind of understanding. Then when we talk about a circle and a plane of movement, what does that look like? Where is that movement? Where is it happening? Those things are very confusing for people because of how functional it is, how tangible it is. This movement that we're doing here, the turning of the wrists, is a technique. Your hand is going like this and you're moving. So if I had your hand like this, if we just like this, if I want to go underneath here, that's what would happen. But why am I here and then I put this hand here? Because if I go like this and I disengage, I have to control it from the top. So that's why your hand, when you divert and block, or you move like this, is really divert. This is moving, moving, and moving. And there isn't any break because I'm not using strength here. I'm just moving and pivoting off of this point. So the point movement is really the point of attachment. The rest of it becomes pliable and flexible. So you move around it. You don't really meet force, but that's sensitivity and knowing body mechanics as a way of utilizing the strengths and weaknesses of your skeletal structure.
It's interesting. I've been doing boxing lately, and every so often,
Mhm.
when I'm supposed to throw a left jab, I take my right and do basically, I want to control that arm
Mhm.
rather than
Mhm.
than throw the punch.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, as you say, is it a level? I don't think about it.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, boxing is, you know, it's one of the pugilistic arts, right? You use it to strike, and it's been around forever. You know, it's more popular in the early days in Europe. Then it moved here, and it became the Saturday night special with Gillette's Wild Wild boxing thing. Remember, every Saturday night they had the boxing, so it got big there. But boxing is pretty popular. It's pretty popular with the people with Parkinson's, because it's a motor skill and it actually helps you in that way. The only difference is that, you know, there's a lot of impact if you're using a bag. But the movements itself is just like Kung Fu or anything else. But the level of understanding, typically on the basic level, is still pretty simple. Until you get to a higher level, then it requires a lot of body mechanics.
But the instinct that you demonstrated here in the martial arts
Mhm.
to block
Mhm.
is, I now realize it's at the level we were talking about. It doesn't happen every time, but every so often.
Yeah. So every geometric shape that you create has a functionality, and every geometric shape based on your posture and position has to do with effectiveness of position, right? So the basic thing is low, middle, and high, right? So low, middle, palm strike face, those are all middle. High, Jade Lady works shuttle, stork flaps wings, diagonal flying could be a cross between. Those are positions. What you use in position are really surface contact position places, right? So if I'm like this, I'm using this part of the arm. If I'm like this, I'm using this part of the arm. If I'm like this, is this part of the arm. If I'm like this, is this part of the arm. If I'm like this, is this part of the arm. I'm not talking about the hands, mainly because the hands aren't necessary to do what we really want to do. We call them bridges. You're using the bridge to bridge the gap between you and your opponent. If you use your hands, then you left this alone. You're not using it. But if you use this, then you have the manipulation of your hand. You can still, you know, it's like if I touch your arm, see, if I touch your arm, that means my hands are still free. If I hold your hand or do this, then I actually took away one of my sides. So you don't use this, you use this. This is to do this, or grab, or poke. Boxers use gloves. They're fists. They use fists. No, but the thing is, boxers don't own, the punch is a punch, but their arm sometimes is there. When the hands are like this, they're not, most of the time, not blocking with their gloves. They're blocking with their arms, because the hands are like this, and they're keeping and they're weaving and bobbing inside their arms to avoid, so the arms are here. So when they block, they might be doing this. They're using their forearms like this, and then they jab from there. So, but they don't pull their hands back. Actually, nobody that uses those techniques of actually pulling back. The hands are here because that's your defensive mechanism, and when it comes in here, then you're using this to absorb.
You know, so they get ready to punch. You're busy doing this, but you have to punch.
Your punch comes from here. You turn your body. See, so boxers actually are not just doing this.
No,
That's a robot. When you go like this, they turn like this. So when a boxer punches, they're on their toe here. Boxers punch like that, right? You're on your toe, or you go forward and you turn. So there's a jab, and then there's a cross And so they have less techniques. It's really basically a jab, a hook, and an uppercut, right?
That's what I'm saying, because of in here, if I'm like this, I'm protecting, I'm about to throw.
Yeah,
jab,
yeah,
And I see that arm coming at me. My instinct now is to block it,
yeah, yeah,
to divert.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And they look at me like, no, you're supposed to be swinging your other hand.
yeah, yeah. But actually, the reality is both sides are connected. So when you're like this, like of Eddie, I'll use if my hand, if I'm like this, and this is gonna punch, right, and then he comes with this hand, this comes like this. So the fact that I turn my, if we're attached here, the fact that I turn my body, I deflected that. But the thing is, that's what's happening. But if they, not this, say that what they're saying is, he wants you to punch, but it's wrong to say that this is not doing that, you're only focusing on the punch. Because if your body's connected on both sides, meaning right and left, then if I go like this, then this is going to go like this. If this goes like this is going to go like that. Now, if he punched down when I'm here, I'm coming down this way, like brush knee. You see? So when you're like this and this and this and this, I mean, we teach those in sparring. It's the same thing. But see, what you're learning to do is respond from a position. Responding from a position is, you don't go punch, pull it back here, punch, pull it back here. The responsive position is, say, brush knee, strum the lute, upper J lady work shuttle. So if I go like this and I brush the knee, okay, I'm like this. If I use strum the lute or just lift the hand, I'm like this. Okay, if he comes again, I'm like this. So if I went and then he came low like that, then I went this way. So your hand, this is divert and strum the lute. So your hands will move based on what you've learned as a program. You program these movements into your body. So we go like this. If we go like this and just duck, just cross hands. Right? Cross hands. That's a cross hand position. If I go like this, that's a cross hand like this. If I go like this, this is a low, right? This is lower hoop, right? This is upper hoop, right? Here he comes up, this is upper hoop, right? If he comes here again, I'm going to go like this. This is stork flaps wings. This is divert and block, right? This is closing.
So perfect. To do that,
Yeah. Yeah. That's the side of interpreting the movement. So there is some analytical skills developed from interpreting your movements. And understanding the movement helps you sort of put perspective on reference points and why you have to do this a certain way. So cloud hands should not be out there because you're overreaching. Cloud hands should be here. Right? Or here. 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 And you have to adjust your body basically to see what that movement is. That's size of the person. That's right. But if you're developing your movement, the relative position should be here. Because it doesn't matter if that person's middle is there. The punch is going to come to you here. He's not going to hit you up there. He's going to hit you here, or here, right? So, but
smaller person to the taller person.
yeah, so you have to change your strategy. But in your training, you have a reference point, and that reference point becomes what you reference to. So if his punch is to my face, okay, and my reference points for this is here, then I would have to obviously do that. That changes, because as a reflex. But if you change it and it goes up there, if I want to turn to this, that would be even another technique, because this is what you know for high. Or you could go like this, maybe diagonal flying, right? It's extended, but you don't extend too far because you have to. So if he goes here, then you have to sink, or you have to retract. So this is how you avoid, right? You sit back. All right. So, how about this? If we go like this, I can step back, I can step forward, and then give him a little hip chuck. Okay. So anyways, we didn't do a lot of form, but we got a lot of function. But actually it gives you insight of why, it was a martial art. It still is. It's just that people don't really focus on that side of it because it's another learning level and it's another level to pass through. And then you do it. Yeah, it is helpful. It's more tangible. That's what we meant, tangibility. So when you can, it's like we did a hammer fist earlier in parry and punch. So the hammer fist is this. So if you simulate the motion of a hammer, then you're, what's the purpose of the hammer? To hit the nail on the head. And so you have accuracy and range of motion and perspective of where that head is. And you can judge that from experience. So someone good with the hammer will always hit the head on the nail. And but the thing is, when you were doing the hammer fish, your hand came not quite vertical. It was kind of in between there. So your so your focus should be on that because that's where the hammer would be going. And if you use your hand as a position in that V, it's called the tiger's mouth. If the V is vertical, then your hand's going to be vertical.
So this is not this.
No, later, the second time. So the first one is straight down. But if it goes straight down and the V is like that, then that's your reference point. And if the V is there and it's vertical, then the line will be in a vertically down. So that's a reference, and your body will know. When your hand is here, this is a reference for the line of pull. When the hand is here, the reference is here, but the line is here. Right. So the shapes and how your hand is conformed creates the structural integrity of your position. So these are, okay, ready? We'll bow.